And now more of my conversation with Bill Maher, the host of HBO's Real Time with Bill Maher. We talked national security politics, and I asked him if the Republicans who got Bush elected twice, in part by making Gore and Kerry look like wimps, will they be able to do it again this year? Mr. Maher was, of course, as politically incorrect as ever.
I think he's trying not to, his idea about Afghanistan, for example, I don't really agree with that. At least I think we should have a debate about Afghanistan. But, of course, the Democrat can't say, look, I'm not for war in general. He has to say, hey, well, come on, I'm not a wuss. I'm for some war. So it somehow comes down that the Iraq war is the Republican war, the bad war, the stupid war. But Afghanistan, that's the smart war, the good war, the Democrat war. But I don't know if that's true. At least I'd like to have a debate about it. At least I'd like to feel that there was someone in the race who represented my feelings, not really just two sides of the same coin.
It seems to me like there's a lot to say about Afghanistan. We've got a lot of stuff that we need to get done in Afghanistan. The argument that I want to hear is how us sending more troops there gets our national objectives met. I agree we've got to focus on it more. I just don't know that more troops is the right thing after 7 years there.
Exactly. I mean, study after study shows that they don't hate us for our freedom. They hate us for our airstrikes. In Afghanistan, that seems to be the problem, is that we keep killing people with our airstrikes, and then those people tend to have a grudge against us, and they will join the Taliban or be sympathetic to the Taliban. So if we are sending 2 more brigades there, as Obama wants to do, first of all, is that really going to pacify the whole country? Are we really going to take over Afghanistan and turn it into the kind of country that we want to turn it into? That should be debated. But even if we were, when we send more brigades, that's more of our men. More of our men get killed. When our men get killed, what do? That's when we send in the airstrikes. Then we kill the other people. So it's kind of like we're trying to get rid of the flies with a fly swatter made of raw meat.
Back in June, Charlie Black, who was John McCain's advisor, said that he thought another terrorist attack on the United States would be a, quote, big advantage to the McCain campaign. Back in 2004, 3 days before the election, John McCain himself said that the Osama bin Laden tape that came out right before that election was great news electorally for the Republican ticket. Why is it that terrorism, war, the continuing existence of Osama bin Laden, why is this politically advantageous for the Republicans?
Yeah, John Kerry said the same thing. He said that tape that bin Laden put out right before the election helped Bush, and it probably did. And it's perverse to think that people, the American people, would use this logic of, oh, let's re-elect the guy who didn't get him the first time. But that seems to be what happens in this country. And I keep going back to this cynical point of view I have, and people jump down my throat, but the underlying problem we have in this country is that the people are too stupid to be governed. They are too dumb to get it. So how do you explain complex situations like terrorism, like the environment? You don't. The public is it's like a dog. It can only understand inflection. It can't understand any sort of rational argument. A dog can understand 20 or 30 commands like come and sit and fetch, and people in this country can understand things like Mavericks and Surge. Surges always work, and Mavericks will clean stuff up. So I don't trust them to make the right decision.
Well, the dynamic has been not necessarily maverick versus complex smart idea, but rather weak versus dumb. And the American people, I think, have said, you know what? We understand the Democratic case that the Republican guy is dumb, but we don't mind dumb so much as we hate weak. And the Republicans haven't argued that they're smart. They've just argued that Democrats are weak, effete, foreign, eggheads, intellectuals, somebody you couldn't trust in a fight. And they've almost made being smart a liability in an election.
Yes, I mean, what they don't understand is that John McCain is, more likely to get us all killed. When McCain talks about staying in Iraq for 100 years, he is, to my way of thinking, not understanding the most important thing about this war against Islamic fundamentalists, which is that what they really hate is that we're in their country. This is what drove bin Laden crazy the first time, was that we had troops in Saudi Arabia, in the Holy Land. So we pulled our troops out of Saudi Arabia, and what did we do? We went right back into the heart of the Muslim world, in Iraq. And to stay there is always going to be a thorn in their side. As long as we have bases and Pizza Huts and troops in Iraq, there are going to be young Muslim men who want to kill us.
Left, right, and center, do you think that the American people are moving toward a more isolationist position? Just don't get us involved anywhere. We may have preferences in how the world works, but we're not going to actually intervene because it's no longer safe, or we're not willing to risk the blowback?
I don't know about that. I think a lot of this country thinks that military might is the only tool we really need to use or have to use, and they like it. They like the idea that America throws around its military might. I mean, you heard at both conventions threats against Russia over Georgia, a place up until a week ago, I would guess most Americans had no idea even existed in the world. But suddenly, we are all Georgians. You know, we throw around this macho, jingoistic military might as if we really have the troops to even pull it off at this point.
I think we were all hoping that it meant that we were all Atlantans in some way, but we never got there. Bill Maher, thanks for joining us. I appreciate it.
Hey, Rachel, thank you very much.
Bill Maher of Real Time with Bill Maher on HBO.